Alright, so even though you're seeing this a week later, I actually just finished this. Haven't tested it yet. I'm just rolling right into the next brute weapon, and that is the spike grenade. So this is only half the template. I only did the spikes on half of it because there's no reason to mirror them. And so this is the general size. Again, I scaled it down to match a human, just like I did with the knife. Brutes are apparently 9 feet tall if you look at the Halo Wikipedia, whatever. And so I scaled it down to fit a human. And they were supposed to be about 3 feet long. I scaled it down to 20 inches, which is over a foot shorter than they're supposed to be for a full-size one. But this is very much more proportionate to a human. It's going to work great. I'm not making them explode. I was considering it, but then it would explode and it'd be gone, and then I couldn't hang it up on my wall when I'm done. So how we're going to basically do this is I'm going to make it look like a real one, but we're going to test it just like a mace or as a thrown weapon, tomahawk, see if we can get it to stick in somebody or, you know, something. Anyway, so using the same steel, I have got an ungodly amount of little tiny spikes to cut out. 20, that's not ungodly, but you know, it's a lot. And so I traced half of them onto a plate, and I'm just going to cut 2 plates at a time using the plasma cutter. That's what's awesome about plasma cutters. And I'm going to trim that and cut that one separately. I know it's hanging over. And it will not fit on there. Anyway, so I'm going to cut those out, sharpen just the ends of them because they're just supposed to be spikes, and we're going to weld them onto the body. The body is going to mostly be pipe. These cone pieces are going to be kind of tough to make. I might use pipe and cut wedges out of them in 4 places and bend them in, and it'll be a cone shape. It'll be slightly angled cone shape, as in almost square looking from the top. But from the side, it'll look like that. So we'll see. I'll just come up with something. I'm going to try to do the easiest way that still looks pretty good and matches this profile, because the profile is what we're going for. And then apparently this area is wrapped with leather or cloth of some kind, so I'm going to do that too. Alright, so all these spikes, I'm not going to sharpen them like bladed along the edge. Really, I'm just going to sharpen the front facing edge. So like on these big ones, I'm going to sharpen that edge. The little ones, I'm basically just going to sharpen all of those beveled edges. And I'm not going to sharpen them like way down. I'm just going to, there we go. I'm not going to sharpen them all the way. I'm just going to kind of give them an angle so that they're sharper than, you know, flat. But really, this is a puncturing point, so you're going to be hitting on the end anyway. It's not supposed to be blades, so I'm just going to sharpen them enough to make sure that they stick. Like so. So you guys have undoubtedly seen me line up tubes and pipes before like this. You put it in a channel, clamp it down. The difference here is that they're different sizes. I can't do that, so I have to actually shim them up an 1/8 inch on either side, put it in, and that theoretically should center it right on this because there's an 1/8 inch difference on either side. There's a 1/4 inch difference overall. You split the difference and shim it up that much. So in theory, that should be centered more or less perfectly. It doesn't have to be completely perfect, and that pipe is actually 1 1/4 and like a 32nd of an inch. And so this will be off a little bit, but not enough that anyone will notice. And for those of you wondering, I am offsetting it so that I can wrap leather in there, and then once the leather is in there, it will be the same width of handle, distance, diameter, same diameter of handle as it is here, because the leather will take some space. Alright, so here's where it's a little bit tricky. A lot of these shapes are cones. You can't buy metal in cone shapes very easily. You can get like pipe adapters and that kind of thing, but you can only get specific sizes, specific angles, and I need to make these, you know, like that. One way of doing it is to cut a piece of sheet metal in a strip. One way to do it is to cut a piece of flat bar or sheet metal, but cut it kind of as in an arc and then roll it. But that takes a lot of figuring and you know, stuff like that. So I'm going to do it this other way, which is a little less precise, but it'll be faster. And in the long run, it won't really make a difference for this. So basically, I'm working with 2-inch pipe. I've got to get it to go from 2-inch at the top to 1.5 inches at the bottom. So my circumference, 2 times 3.14 on the top is 6.28. That's about 6 3/8. On the bottom, I need it to be 1.5 inches times 3.14. I need to be 4.71. So that was 6.30, I'll just say 30, I think, down to 4.71, and my Sharpie is dying. Anyway, so 6.30 take away 4.70 is 1.5. So basically, I need to bring the overall size from one side to the other down 1.5 inches. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to cut slits or cut kind of pie-shaped pieces out of these. And the more that you do, the more smooth it'll be. So I'm probably going to do 6. You could do 4. I might end up doing 4, but I'll see when I actually start working on it how bad it is. But you cut pie shapes out of it, and once this side is welded, then you bend those in to close those gaps, weld the seams, and then smooth it all off. Theoretically, we'll make a cone. Okay, now to see if it actually does what I'm hoping it will do. I just cut this piece and this piece. We're going to tack them together, and then I'll just have to do the top cone, which is this piece. Need to cut it, but I need to make this body first. And then I just have to weld on the cap and spikes and wrap the handle. Alright, it's a pretty good beating stick. Whew, that is mean looking. I'm going to stick this by my front door as the burglar deterrent. So now all I got to do is wrap the handle, and it's not the same color as the one in the game. The one in the game is more of a dark gray, not shiny at all. So I might paint it. I guess you'll see within the next couple seconds at the test. Alright, so Brute Spike Grenade is done. I did not make it explode, I'm sorry. The one thing that I think might be a problem when testing this is it's hollow. It's not meant for actually hitting stuff with, and so, especially since how I made it was cutting strips and welding, if you hit a spike too hard, it might actually bend it into the body somewhere. So we're gonna see. If it was exploding, that would actually be great because that would give you much more shrapnel. But hitting stuff directly, it might bend it. But, you know, we're gonna find out. So, coconut first. It's fairly close to a human skull, not a brute skull. They're probably like 2 inches thick, but you know. Alright, so coconut, no problem, of course. Now we're going to try some ribs. Again, these are elk ribs or cow ribs, I don't know. That one's broken, that's why it's so short. I do have another full one here. So, for this, we're going to try to hit it on the spikes right here, because that's the strongest point. Up there, again, is a little weaker because they're longer spikes, they could bend in. And those, that's a solid pipe because it's not a cone. So those are a lot stronger, also because they're shorter. And again, these are hardened spikes. They're as hard as that last knife, so it could dent them or nick them, but they don't have an edge. And the edge is always the weak point. They just have kind of a rough grind in them, so they shouldn't be a problem. Alright, so we actually lost a spike on that. And it's because, I'm assuming, how it looks from the break is because this is a hardened metal and I welded it to a softer metal. That makes it a little bit more brittle because I didn't normalize it, which again would be awesome for a grenade because it would send shrapnel everywhere, but it is not good for a mace. But I'll weld a new one on before I display it and it'll be good as new. All right, so we're gonna do something really stupid considering that a spike broke off. We're gonna try to go through a leg bone, which this is really, really thick. So, and it's not nearly dried out as much as the ribs. So we're gonna see what happens. It actually found one. All right, we found a spike. See, now that would be embedded in your face. Oh, did we? Is that the other one? Oh, we're missing a bunch. Woo! All right. So this would be awesome for shrapnel if it was actually a grenade and exploding, but it's not, so it sucks. All right, so we're gonna attempt to throw this thing. Now it's really awkward to throw because the blade's at the bottom. You can't let it like slide off and, you know, roll it like you normally would. So you almost have to like shot put it and throw it straight up and down, or something underhanded or some awkward thing. We have this rolled up hunk of foam that I think is fairly close to a human, you know, in terms of squishiness. You know, it sticks pretty good. So y'all wanted to see a throw, so we're gonna try and do a throw and see how well it works. Personally, I don't think it's very practical for throwing how it was designed. It would make an amazing grenade just because of how the spikes break off and you would get shrapnel everywhere, but we'll see about throwing it. Kill! All right! That was good. It throws awkwardly, but not terribly. All right, so there were a couple problems with the design of this. The spikes kept breaking off because they're hardened steel and I was welding them to non-hardened steel. This one broke off twice. I welded it back on before we threw it, and then it broke off again. And this big spike broke off when we hit the Dr. Pepper can with gas. And I'm missing two of them. They flew off somewhere. One of the clips, when we crushed the bone, it flew off into who knows where. So I'll have to make some more before I display this. But it overall works excellent as a grenade. It would be a brutal grenade because these break off. That would be excellent. It would give you shrapnel. Grenades are supposed to fragment. They're made out of brittle metal like this so that they fragment. And it would be deadly. It is not good as a mace, simply because the spikes break off. If I was going to make it as a mace, I'd make it all mild steel or all hard steel, but not half and half. But again, as a grenade, it would be awesome and it would be deadly and brutal. So that is it for this video. Next week I'm going to be doing the fire grenades. I haven't made that yet, but that should be fun. Basically just a Molotov cocktail. So that's all for this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and share it. It helps a ton. Go share it to all your nerd friends. And I'll see you next week.